There's two lenses in which you look at life from, and I learned this from one of the most successful entrepreneurs I know, in Heyman Sahalen. He speaks about how we have the lens of mediocrity and a lens of excellence. And 95% of the world's population look at life from a lens of mediocrity, whether they like it or not, because that's just been the ingrained upbringing. And when we look at life from a lens of mediocrity, we foster everything we do on two very simple questions. What do we want to do? And how are we going to do it? I want you to think about everything you've done in your life, your entire upbringing. I'm sure we've all been brought up with some very similar questions. What do you want to do when you're older? What do you want to do at uni? What do you want to do when you study? What do you want to do when you graduate? What do you want to do for work? How are you going to get into that degree? How are you going to get that job? Right? How are you going to do this in your future? And you start to realize these are very mediocre-centric questions. But in order to be successful, you got to transpose the simplicity of the lens of life in which you look at. You got to shift your perspicacity, not from a lens of mediocrity, but now towards a lens of excellence. And there's a very successful entrepreneur called Simon Sinek who alludes to this principle as well, where he speaks about the average Joe, right? Your average employee asks themselves two questions: what to do and how to do it. But then speaks about your successful people, the people who look at life from a lens of excellence. They shift the foundational questions they ask themselves. They move it from what and how to now why and who. Why? Because the first question of why starts to look into a deep-rooted, foundational, intrinsic purpose that's always going to propel you beyond your comfort zone. At the end of the day, I believe we all want time freedom, financial freedom, and location freedom. But why do people not pursue something or an arena that's going to provide those three things? It's because they're so focused on what to do, but don't put enough focus on why they're doing it. And you always need a reason. You're never going to run into a burning building for the fun of it, but you'll do it if you have a strong purpose to save your mum, your dad, your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, your loved ones, your daughters, your sons, your parents, because you got a strong reason. And then the second component you got to ask yourself is who's going to help you. I remember Mark Cuban once saying, and Mark Cuban is a multi-billionaire, but he speaks about how he will never mentor his children. Why? Because in order to create generational legacy, your children need to learn from people who've done something further. Otherwise, they're going to be constrained and limited to whatever you've done. And that's not generational legacy. And I've started to realize this alludes to the value of mentorship. True, holistic, pragmatic mentorship. Not online paid mentorship, but true mentorship, which is free, but is earned. Right? So I challenge you, in everything you do on a day-to-day basis, alter the lens in which you look at life from, alter the frame of reference you have. Change your questions from what and how in its foundations to why and who.